1,000 days since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and the war has entered a new phase after US President Joe Biden authorized the use of longer-range missiles by Ukraine in the Kursk region of Russia. The move comes 2 months before Donald Trump makes a return to the White House, raising fears over the future of US support for Ukraine. The US-made Army Tactical Missile Systems rockets have a range of up to 190 miles. That's about 306 kilometres. This puts about 245 military and paramilitary targets, including 6 air bases within Ukraine's range, as well as Russia's southern military district headquarters in Rostov-on-Don and the Black Sea Fleet Naval Base in Novorossiysk. US assistance to Ukraine is currently at $174 billion, while that of the European Union is at $131 billion. But the Kremlin says the authorization will lead to a major escalation, which only means the US is directly involved in the war. Russia in October brought up to 10,000 North Korean troops in. Ukraine's concern, and that of NATO, is that this deployment will be the first of many to follow. Experts say the UK and France could follow suit and grant Ukraine permission to use Storm Shadow missiles inside Russia. Russia has a majority control of the Luhansk region, while it only controls about 72% of the Zaporizhzhia region, 61% of the Donetsk region, and 58% of the Kherson region. Experts say forcing Ukraine to cede land will only increase Putin's appetite. A recent Kiev International Institute of Sociology poll shows 58% of Ukrainian citizens oppose any concessions of territory to Russia, while 32% are in agreement. For more on this story, Paul Ingram is joining us live now from London. He's a senior nuclear disarmament researcher at the Centre for the Study of Existential Risk at Cambridge. Hi, Paul. Now, we've heard from our correspondent in Russia Putin's intent here and how much of a threat it is. What do you make of it?
So I think that we can expect this sort of back and forth. It is very concerning. I don't think you play with nuclear fire with complacency. But I don't think at the same time we are likely to see any significant escalation at this stage. It is a step in the wrong direction. But I think that the principal reason why the Biden administration is doing this is to strengthen the hand of Ukraine prior to Trump taking office and negotiations happening. I think it is clear that negotiations will happen. Turkey has put its peace plan to the Russians. The Russians have rejected it, but that there's a lot of mood music around pressures on all sides to come to the table now, pressures that we didn't see a couple of months ago. So this is a concerning development that both the Americans have given this permission to use these missiles, and that the Russians have responded both directly, rhetorically, and also by releasing their new nuclear doctrine that we were hearing about just a few minutes ago. But these were all in train anyway, and I think it's very difficult at this moment to really pass exactly what is going to happen over the next few weeks.
So not entirely empty threats from Putin, but how much, in your view, do you think this could escalate things into another world war? Are we closer now than we were yesterday to an international nuclear war?
I think we are closer, but not much closer. So this is a concerning development, the action and the reaction. This is a classic step-by-step up the escalation ladder, and it is escalation. Whatever anybody says, it is escalation. But, you know, escalation is not always perceived to be a bad thing in order to bring things to a head. As I say, it is also an indication that the sides are looking now at future negotiations, and that is a positive thing. So whilst it is worrying, it is also a source for hope, because I think that everybody now realizes that with the change of administration in Washington around the corner, the sides need to start thinking more seriously about the next day, the day after the hot war comes to an end, and where those negotiations could finish. Now, the Russians have their maximalist position, which you were just describing, and the Ukrainians have their maximalist position, and I don't think either of those are realistic. So we do need to be looking at bringing the sides together and actually finding ways in which they can start to compromise. And I believe that is where the incoming president-elect Trump is looking to put pressure at this moment. And I think at this moment, that pressure is potentially at its maximum because of the uncertainty, because of the ambiguity. But I don't think people do need to be worrying at this moment that nuclear war is around the corner, even if the Ukrainians do launch a number of these missiles, these ATACMS. I think the Russians are simply signaling that they are ambiguous. They don't have to attack back with anything, let alone with nuclear weapons. They're simply saying that they are opening their options. Now, Russian nuclear doctrine has always said that they are open to responding to nuclear weapons when attacked by a nuclear weapon state and non-nuclear weapon state operating alongside one another. What I think they are saying now is that they are willing to contemplate the possible use of Russian nuclear weapons if they are attacked by a non-nuclear weapon state, namely Ukraine, with the support of a nuclear weapon state. So the shift in nuclear doctrine is not dramatic, but it is more than nothing. It is a signal that the Russians are not happy with the escalation move that has been made by the Americans this week.
Okay, Paul, and we've recently today just heard President Zelensky speaking to the European Parliament. What did you make? Did you hear that speech? What did you make of his comments? And do you believe that European lawmakers will heed his warnings of trying to work together against Putin and achieve a just peace, is what he called it?
Yes, well, I think that what we are seeing here is Zelensky again preparing the ground when the ground is moving beneath his feet, and the Europeans are wobbly in terms of their full support for Ukraine moving forward, given where President Trump is as he comes into office. And I think that Zelensky is not alone amongst the parties looking to shore up and strengthen his position in relation to allies and adversaries. I think because he is saying these things today does not mean that Ukraine will not move in the future. And neither does it mean that all the Europeans will stick alongside a maximalist position put by the Ukrainians into the near future. So I think there are a lot of smoke and mirrors in all the speeches, not just Zelensky's, but Putin's and Trump's and Biden's. These are leaders who are sending public signals, and at the same time, they are sending private signals. I mean, for example, it wouldn't surprise me at all if the Americans told the Russians behind the scenes, look, we are supplying these, or we're supplying these missiles and giving permission for them to be used in order to strengthen Ukraine's hand for negotiations. So prepare for negotiations because we're serious. As the new administration comes in.
Okay, Paul, thank you so much for taking the time to help us understand the complexities of all of this. Paul Ingram, live for us there from London.
Cheers.